Hey there Chef, welcome to this week's cook along. I'm about to go through the 10 dishes on this week's menu. Make sure you've got your recipe booklet to hand, snazzy little new recipe booklet, look at that. It's going to have inside it all your recipe cards which you can take out and you can follow the recipes bit by bit, really simple. Remember there's no chopping preparation, we've done it all for you. So for now let's get cooking, we're going to go straight into our weekly bake and then we're going to go through each course. So let's get cooking. So we're going to start off with our weekly bake course. So what you want to do is unwrap your bread, like so, and in here, look at that, you've got a lovely black treacle sourdough. This is one of the classics at UB Chef. Get that on a tray, that's going in the oven 8 to 10 minutes. So let's get that in there, like so. And then you need to get your butter softening up. So in here, we've got smoked chicken butter, and here, chicken scratchings. What you want to do, get your chicken scratchings just onto a little tray like that, get the butter, put it on the top, give it a little roll, chicken scratchings on the top, turn it, keep doing that, and then when you've got enough on there that you can pick it up and basically get those chicken scratchings to really stick to the outside of the butter. The reason we don't do this pre it arriving with you is we want those chicken scratchings to be nice and crispy. So that's all lovely like that. Let's put that onto our little plate, little dust off, tiny bit of molten salt on the top, beautiful. And now I'll be back once my bread is lovely and crisp in the oven. I'll have a serrated knife and we'll get it all cut up. So out comes the sourdough. That's been in 10 minutes now in the oven. If you can wait, give it a couple of minutes just to kind of like the main heat to go off. It makes it a little bit easier to slice. But I've got my little roast chicken butter there. I've got a little bit of barley to sit it on. Now up to you how you slice it. You can go in quarters. I'm just going to kind of hand on the top. Listen to that crunch. Oh. So nice thick slices. As I say, serrated knife is the key here. Makes light work. So all cut down. Give it a little chefy fan. Onto that barley, and there you go. What a way to start off a meal. Lovely black treacle sourdough, that all really nice smoked chicken butter just to go onto there, and those little scratchings add that lovely little saltiness. Hope you enjoy it. So first starter for you, we've got a tagliatelle of cuttlefish, but there's no pasta in this dish. What we've done, cuttlefish is made into lovely little long strips, resembling the pasta. What I'm going to do, get my broccoli and tentacles. They're going to go in the oven, 3 minutes, first of all. And then you see this lovely little cuttlefish cracker that we've got here. This is tapioca based, with some of that cuttlefish ink going inside. That's going to go in the oven for 2 minutes, 2 minutes just to crispen up, so that will go in shortly. Then I've got my bowl just here. I've got my radishes, nicely thinly sliced, and I've got my cuttlefish. Get some of your dressing. This is lovely little soy and sesame dressing with a little bit of ponzu in, which is nice and citrusy. So get a little of that. Spoon that over your tagliatelle. I like to add a tiny bit of extra seasoning as well, up to you. Then get a little pair of tweezers or a spoon, whichever you prefer. Get that in there. Give that a nice mix. And as well, tiny bit of rapeseed oil on your radishes and a little bit of seasoning. Quick rinse. I'm going to get my little cracker just into the oven as well. There it is. Then what you want to do is try and pile that cuttlefish up in a bowl as if it was the pasta. So this is where you're really aiming for it to look like that. Lovely little strands of tagliatelle. So we'll get all that down. We've slow cooked this cuttlefish so it's lovely and tender. A bit more going in there. See, I'm just curling that with the forceps as I place it. But again, it's nice and quick to do. Final bit on there. There we go. Okay, then what we'll do, let's grab out our tentacles and our cracker. So you'll just hear the cracker just sizzling away. So that's going to be last on the plate. take your forceps again, and then the broccoli. See, I'm just gonna get a little bit in there under that tentacle, another little bit on the other side, like so. I want to still see everything. Now I've got those beautiful seared tentacles, again slow cooked, but they've got a lovely barbecued flavour. So that's all nicely dressed on there like so. Then what we'll do, take some of our little pink radishes and just place those, get a bit of height, that lovely pink little effect just rising up, adds texture, a little crunch and that pepperiness. Then I'm going to take some of my pieces of cracker, and again, be really light with these, they're very delicate, and just sort of snap them, you know, really to sort of like fit a little bit more on there, not too much. I want to see everything going on, all looking beautiful. Finally, let's go back, dressing. You see, I'm just kind of dressing it away from the cracker. I don't want that cracker to get soft. But you want a really good bit of that dressing on. It's the key to this dish. Plenty of those little sesame seeds in there. And that is it. Little white, really, really tasty tagliatelle of cuttlefish, radish, and cuttlefish in cracker. So my second starter for you is a lovely pastrami cured duck breast. So it arrives during this lovely little compostable vacuum back bag. And then here you've got the, again, compostable paper and the backing boards that we send you as well. They can all go in the compost bin. So there's the little bit of duck, lovely and cured. And then I've got to get some of my sea buckthorn dressing. So this is made with buckthorn berries that we gather here on the Isle of Wight, just over on the Dover. A little bit of seasoning there. Tiny bit of rapeseed oil as well, like so. I've got my duck leg cigarettes, that's confit duck leg, that's already in the oven. That needs to be in for about 6 minutes, just to crispen up. And then see, I'll just give the salad a nice little dress, make sure it's all nicely coated with the buckthorn dressing, and then a little rinse of the hands. So up next, let's get our remoulade. So this is a nice little bit of remoulade in there, it's got some capers and gherkins, and I'm going to put the full spoon of it, and then I'm going to just flatten it out, just sort of like a rough rectangle, and that's where we're going to put the pastrami on top. So that's all done. Then let's take our pieces of duck. You can do it all in one foul swoop, or like me here, you can just add those nice little bits of duck on top. So that's all done. Let's get rid of those pieces out of the way. And then before our cigarette comes out the oven, what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of salad. I'm just going to start building up a nice little pile just at one end. There's a whole nice selection in here. You've got some little ruby chard, you've got mizuno, you've got all sorts going on. So let's just get a nice big pile of that, but again with height, really, really important. So a few more leaves, and then I'll go and get my cigarette out of the oven. Nice little mixture of the herbs which are in there. So we've got some nice parsley, we've got tarragon, which is a lovely flavour with that buckthorn berry. See, I'm really taking my time to get a lovely presentation. So I'm happy with that. There we go. Let's get that salad out of the way. Then, just before we get our cigarette, little bit extra of that buckthorn dressing. You could serve some on the side, of course. And I'm just going to get my cigarette out of the oven. Just be careful that comes out. Tray will be hot, of course. Then you could leave it like that, or you could just trim off the ends slightly, just for a little bit of extra presentation. Lovely and crispy. And now I'm just gonna sit that just on like so. What a lovely little starter. Combination of that pastrami cured duck breast, crispy confit leg cigarette, salad, buckthorn dressing. So up next we've got our vegetarian starter course. This week it's a lovely Fritto Misto of rainbow chard. So basically what we've got here, this is your recipe card. Check the recipe card with every single recipe, make sure you've got all of the elements ready to go. My Fritto Misto, rainbow chard lemon, is in the oven already. That's in there for 6 minutes. As it says in there, 5 to 6 minutes just to re-crisp. And I've got my squash puree. So this is an acorn squash puree. It's just been warming up here. It just needs to come up just to temperature, but don't boil it because it will reduce and it will go too thick. So that's my squash puree ready. And then I've got my Kentish cob nut dressing just in here, touch of lemon juice. You've got the roasted nuts in there, beautiful, lovely and autumny. So let's grab my little Fritto Misto out the oven here. That's all sizzling away nicely. So let's get ready to plate. Give that a little flash, and then you'll see, get a little Fritto Misto, separate them, and I added a tiny bit of salt to these, but they do come partly seasoned. But what I want you to do is just add a little bit of extra just as they come out, because where they've been fried, that salt will lovely and sort of stick to the fritto all nicely. So plate, squash puree, nice bit of it as well. Look at that colour, autumn on a plate. A nice bit of a puree, and then see, I'm just going to use the back of a spoon just to spread it out like so. You want it to go a little bit wider, because then when you plate the Fritto Misto, you'll be able to see it all. So that's the squash, and then just going to tap it lightly to make sure that's all nice and flat. And then what we're going to do, take your leaves, Fritto Misto, and you'll see how where they're crispy, you can kind of start getting some nice height, just like that. See that lovely colours? We've left those beautiful little stalks on as well. So just kind of layer that up. Again, take a little bit of time, just so it all stands up nicely. A little wipe on the plate, and then time for our dressing. Give that a nice little stir. Make sure you get a good few of those cob nuts in there, and then like so. See how just get some of that nicely oil and the dressing and the nuts over the top of the Fritto Misto and around. So don't be shy of the dressing, it really is an integral part of the dish. I'm just placing some of those nuts, and that is all ready to go. So that's my vegetarian Fritto Misto with acorn squash puree for your vegetarian course. So here's my fish main course for this week's UB Chef menu. I've got a nice little halibut on papillote in here. So you've got a halibut steak which we've brined. That's going to go in the oven. Basically in the papillote you've got some fennel, you've got some shallot just underneath it. That's going to go in the oven about 8 to 10 minutes. If you like the fish a little bit more, do it about 10 to 12. And when it comes out, it's just going to sit in that foil just for a few minutes where it will continue steaming. Okay, so that's going to go in the oven now. 8 to 10 on there. And then my garnishes, what I've got here, I've got a crab cake. So this is a crab cake with potato, lemon and herbs in. That's also about 8 minutes in the oven, just to heat that up. We've got some orange segments, we've got some fennel. So it's a nice bit of comfrey fennel with some dill oil in there. That whole bag can just get dropped into the scalding water, 4 minutes, and then just leave it in the hot water in the bag, and that will just heat through nicely. And then we've got our bouillabaisse sauce here, so a lovely Isle of Wight tomato based sauce with saffron going through there. Really, really nice. That's just going to get brought up to temperature on the stove. You don't need to boil it because otherwise the flavour is all just going to disappear. So I'll be back in about 10 minutes. I'm going to get my crab cake in now, and then I'll show you how to plate this one up. So I've got my bouillabaisse sauce there. It's all heated up, and we've got my orange segments ready for the halibut. Hot plate, ready to go. Then just again, lift your fennel out nice and carefully from that scalding water. Bring that over. Just cut it. Remember, it's hot, of course, inside, so watch out for that steam. But these are these lovely little compostable vacuum pack bags, so they really are great instead of the big plastic ones. A tiny bit of salt on top of there. Okay, let's get our halibut out. I'm going to get my crab cake out as well. So out they both come. And And there's our halibut papillote. All you need to do, just tear that foil, and you'll see inside there, look at that. You can see the lovely lemon, you've got fennel in there, you've got a little bit of star anise, which has all flavoured that halibut up even more as you've cooked it. So just get in there with a spoon or a fish slice. I'm just going to lift that out onto my board, and then I'm going to get some of that vegetables, some of those vegetables which we've just cooked in there, and I'm just going to put a little bit of those. Remember, they will be now full of all of the flavours of the fish, the cooking liquor. So let's get a little bit of that on there. Halibut, just make sure it's all nice on the top. Then we've got our fennel, Pave sauce. Let's just get a nice bit of that sauce first of all on the plate, and I want quite a bit on there, like so. There we go. Ooh, rub that off the top. Then we've got our crab cake up next. So crab cake just on the side. Then our piece of fennel. Look at that, lovely. Orange segments, which work deliciously with the saffron, all those flavours going through the fresh crab. So a little bit more orange. And then finally what I'm going to do is just take some of that really nice green oil, which I've cooked the fennel in, and just add a little bit of that around the outside. And there you have it. Lovely fillet of halibut, cooked to that bouillabaisse sauce, crab cake, orange and fennel. So a real favourite on the Uber Chef menu now, rump of lamb, which we've barbecued for you. So this has been barbecued, take it out of your little pouch that it arrives in, and you get these little bits of Douglas fir. Make sure just put that on the tray, and then you can sit the lamb on top of it. It just helps it not to stick to the bottom, and of course any of that flavour from the Douglas fir is going into the lamb. This is going to go in the oven for about 12 to 14 minutes. If you want it more well done, I suggest about 20 minutes to really cook that lamb through. But I'm going to get this in 12 to 14 for now. There it goes. And then my garnishes, I've got a lamb fat potato. So look at that, this is a pomme Anna. It's been cooked in lamb fat going through the layers, then we've pressed it and then we've coloured it for you. That's just going to go in the oven 10 to 12 minutes just to heat that back up. I've got some sauté mushrooms, about 5-6 minutes in the oven heating those. And then the rest of the garnishes, lamb sauce on the stove to heat up, pine oil, really, really lovely infused oil, rapeseed oil with that pine which we foraged here. And then I've got a Jerusalem artichoke puree. So both of those are just going to go edge of the stove and heat it up last second. My potatoes going in shortly, and then we'll be back and I'll show you how to put my lamb main course together. So just finishing off heating my little sauce, lamb sauce there. Artichoke puree is all ready to go. So with the lamb, that's been out in the oven for about 3-4 minutes now. You see that's just resting on a tray. Just get a little bit of that Douglas fir just on the side there as well. So that's all rested, really, really important. Then what we want to do, take your lamb fat potato, get that in pride of place just on the side. And then we're going to take a few of our mushrooms. Just going to sit them, nice little pile, like so. Artichoke puree, I just want a nice spoonful of that, just at the top, and then one more. Put there, really, really nice artichoke puree. And then the lamb. So basically, we'll make sure you slice it across the grain. You can see how tender this is. Resting it is really, really important. Look at how lovely and tender that fat is, all nice and rendered down. I can smell the pine coming off of here as well, which is absolutely delicious. So last slice. Then take a little bit of Malden, and just in between each layer of lamb. Then take both end pieces of the lamb, sit your rump on the top, and then that is just going to sit on top of the mushrooms like so. So that's all on there. A little bit of Douglas fir just on the top, just for that presentation, showing how it's been cooked. And I'm going to get a bit of that lovely reduced lamb sauce. Keep it nice and central. There we go. More sauce on the table if you prefer, and then finally that pine oil. See, I'm just kind of splitting the sauce out with that, like so. There you go. That's my rump of lamb cooked on Douglas fir, lovely lamb fat and a potato, artichoke puree, wild mushrooms. Onto the vegetarian course now, and we've got a beetroot risotto for you. So the rice arrives just like this. The rice is all part cooked. It's got a nice dice of salt-baked beetroots in there, and you get your beetroot cooking liquor. So this is the liquor which we've used to cook the rice so far. Make sure that all goes into your pan, and then that's going to go on the heat. Make sure you've got your trusty spatula. Get that on, and you just want to basically stir that. You want to bring it up to the simmer, and then you want to cook it for a further 4 minutes from when it starts simmering. But just keep it all stirred. You want the rice all sort of nice and equal in the pan, because then the stock will help kick each of the grains. So I'm going to bring that up now. My garnishes, I've got some crispy beetroots to serve with. I've got horseradish cream, and then here I've got this lovely little sachet of salsify, which is cooked in beurre noisette. So the beurre noisette nutty brown butter is inside that little sachet. Drop it into a pan of scalding water, leave that there for the 4 minutes. The rice is just starting to come up and simmer now, all nice and easy. Back in 4 to plate up. So, risotto all done there, lovely and creamy. See that? That's the starch from the rice, but not stodgy. Let's get our plate out. And then, just going to grab my salsify. So you see I've got a nice slotted spoon, get the salsify out. Nice and careful, because that butter will be hot inside. And then just get your salsify, let that just come out of the bag. Just cut out a bit more. And you instantly get that waft of nut brown butter, which is absolutely delicious. Maybe a bag is compostable. Right, a little bit of extra seasoning on the salsify, and a tiny bit I like to add to the risotto. But again, remember, you're the chef. To have a taste as you go, really, really important. So then, let's get our rice. Use your spatula to get all of that out of there. And then you see, just tamper it down, just with that back of that spatula. You got to work quickly now, because of course you don't want the risotto to cool down before you serve it. So you see that, just a little bit more of a tamper out. Lovely. Right, then our salsify. So, really show off the colour of that salsify. See those nice little char grill bits. The nut brown butter smell coming off of here is just delicious. Don't waste that butter. Let's get some of that noisette on the top. Where you've got the golden colour, it really does show up nicely, like so. And then horseradish cream. Let's get my spoon back again. Dip your spoon in hot water, tap it off well, and then into your cream, like so. Look at that. Sit that. And then let's just get some of our little pieces of beetroot. Just before we go to the table, you can see that cream just starting to melt nicely into the risotto now. Tiniest bit of rapeseed just on the top of the cream, and you are ready to go. That's your vegetarian course this week. So first dessert for you, I've got a really nice lemon drizzle cake here. So basically get your lemon drizzle, make sure it's been out of room temperature, really, really important. Fridge cold cake is never nice. So you've got your nice piece of lemon drizzle there. And what I'm going to do, I've got this little bit of candied fennel. Just going to put some nice pieces of that just on top of our cake. Cut your piping bag off, just the nozzle. In here you've got a little lemon gel. So again, just going to pipe. You don't need too much of this because of course it's quite zippy, as it were. That's a nice little word for it. So pipe a little bit of that just on the top, like so. Then we're going to put that on our plate. Hot spoon next. So dip your spoon in a little hot water. A little bit of natural yogurt mousse, sorry. So I'm just going to get in there with my spoon and just turn that over, like so. Let's just get that on our plate. And then I've got some fennel herb just here. Fennel herb, white chocolate aero, leave that in the freezer till last second. And you get that lovely little crunch on there. Get some of your fennel herb. Really, really lovely flavours. Touch more on the top. And all that's left is a little bit more lemon gel. Just piped on that plate next to the mousse. And that is it. Lovely lemon drizzle cake, slightly different with that crispy fennel on the top, fennel herb, white chocolate aero and lemon gel. So here I've got a really nice blackberry and almond tart for you here. So we've made a really nice vanilla sweet pastry. We've got some frangipane in there. We've got a lovely little blackberry gel just at the bottom, and then we've got the almonds and the blackberries poked in the top. That needs to go in the oven for about 5 to 6 minutes. So in that goes. And then the garnishes, we've got a little bit of vanilla custard just here. What I like to do is just leave it right on the edge of the stove. Keep giving it a stir. Don't let it boil. You just want it warmed up, otherwise it will scramble. Then my garnishes, when we come back, I've got some little wild blackberries here just poached. I've got a vanilla meringue, and then here I've got a little blackberry gel, which we're just going to snip the end of the bag off, just to pipe on top of the tart when we serve it. So back in about 5 minutes to finish off. So out comes my tart. There we go. Just on that little bit of greaseproof paper, which we send you with the custard. Just heat it up. Remember, as I said, don't let it boil. So the custard's all there. So what we'll do, I'm just going to cut my piping bag just for tip. And then let's get some blackberries, extra blackberries on the top of the tart first of all. Try a good few of those. It's nice having the combination of the cold, poached ones on the top, and then those ones baked actually within the frangipane itself. So that's all good to go. And I'm going to get my little blackberry gel. So I'll just pipe little piles of that blackberry gel. We've got some creme de menthe in there. So, all good. Then I'm going to get my little vanilla meringues. Just going to sit those like little hats just on the top. So custard, get a good bit of that, serve it on a bowl, plate, whichever you like. Let's just spread that out. Just warm my plate up a bit just before I serve it, and then nice and fast now, get your tart on there, straight to the table. How about that? Lovely blackberry and almond tart, vanilla custard and vanilla meringue. So our final course of the menu this week, we've got our cheese tasting. So again, I've had all my cheeses out of room temperature at least 15 minutes, really, really important. Take them out of your combustible bag, and then you've got a little newbie chef paper, just peel that off carefully, that's just on there to stop it sticking. There we go. And then what I want you to do is, I've got a little board here all set up with my chutney pot all ready. So get your cheeses, you've got your cheese tasting notes just here, so you know all how it's going to put. So little cave aged goat's cheese first of all, then our Comté on there, rich Tallagio is up next, then we've got a wash rinded Langres, and then finally a very, very creamy Gorgonzola, which we're just going to put along the front there. So a little bit of quince, nice little quince jelly, really, really good with all those cheeses, especially the goat's cheese. Then we've got our chutney. So of course this is just aimed at sharing at the table. Now this is an extra course as well. So plenty of chutney in there. And then we've got our crackers. These little stout crackers just alongside. Plenty of them. I'm going to get more by the side. And that is our cheese course to complete this week's UB Chef menu.